Welcome to Football Discussion Daily. My name is Joe. I'm here with the co-host
Gio.
CGO or George. Today's the 21st of March, 2026. Please subscribe. We release every day, short form on Instagram, TikTok, long form on YouTube and other platforms. Please subscribe if you like the content. Today, there was 4 Premier League games. Brighton, Hove, and Albion beat Liverpool 2-1. In the early game, they took an early lead 1-0. Milos Kerkez made a great play, individual read on a defensive pass to equalize, and then Brighton scored later. And 2-1 was not against the run and play. Liverpool had another poor performance. Fulham beat Burnley 3-1. Chelsea lost to Everton 3-0. And then Leeds and Brentford played out to a draw 0-0. And in the biggest match of the day, Richmond Kickers lost 1-0 to FC Naples from Florida at their home league opener. George, I think we'll spend the bulk of our time focusing on Chelsea versus Everton. Let's start with Brighton versus Liverpool. This game, Hugo Ekitike gets injured early. I think that messed with Liverpool's game plan. They replaced him with Curtis Jones, who is serviceable, but not, he's not going to create. What do you think went wrong for Liverpool today? Is it more the same? Is it something different today? Was there a player that you feel like should have stood up today, was not good? What in your opinion went wrong for Liverpool?
Well, apart from Hugo Ekitike leaving the pitch, I think in the 6th minute of the game, which came very early, very unfortunate that he got injured. And I'm sure Liverpool will be missing his service, at least for a period of time. And then, apart from that, Liverpool has not been that great. Let's forget about what they did against Galatasaray. Galatasaray is not that top team that you really expect to give Liverpool a very big, tough game. So that was not a good test of Liverpool. We know how they've been struggling in the Premier League. They've not, imagine Liverpool losing 10 Premier League games. I can't remember when last Liverpool had that kind of poor performance in the Premier League. So it doesn't show that the team is doing well. It's obvious that Liverpool, they are not at the level they are, and the slots have not been able to replicate what we saw in the Liverpool's team last season. In fact, a lot of people were are even saying that he won the Premier League based on the playing pattern of Jurgen Klopp and based on what Jurgen Klopp has built in the club. And you look at most of those players that play like season, like the likes of Luis Diaz, the likes of Nunes, most of those guys have left the club. So if you look at the wingers they have today, they are not at the level. You can't point to one Liverpool winger currently who can compete with Luis Diaz.
So
None.
George, we've talked a lot about how, like, structurally what Liverpool's falling. I'm talking specifically today. Is there a player you felt had a poor performance? I think Curtis Jones. I think he's really good at recycling. He's a type of player though that he's good at keeping the ball moving. He's good at just, if you need to just calm possession. If you need, he's a very good player. He's very composed. He's not the most creative guy in the world. Verts today, I felt created as much as you would expect him to. I felt that the finishing was not good from Liverpool. I think that their game plan kind of hinged on Ekitike, and he was out and early. Salah did not do much today. Gakpo, I don't know how Gakpo, he was awful today. There were so many balls that I felt were through to him that, you don't expect a striker in a vacuum to win every ball against the center back in open space, but you expect him to win 2 out of every 5 or 10, and that's enough that it's a valuable ball to play so that Gakpo can run up, hold the ball up, wait for. But he didn't win any of these. The one goal Liverpool had was not on a creative moment. It was from Milos Kerkez making a great one-off read that, I'm not going to take away from Liverpool's press and their preparation for a game, but that is their last goal in the Premier League before that was on a free kick that Vicario should have saved and McAllister dove for. And their last goal before that was on a bad pass to Wolves, right to Salah. And I believe against West Ham a couple weeks ago, their last win, most of their goals were on set pieces as well. So they've had really struggled creating this season from open play. George, we've talked about it. I agree with you. It's a direct result of lack of direct wingers. I do feel like Salah can still finish, but yeah, he needs a direct winger. I do like Rio Ngoma. I do trust that Slot behind the scenes is managing his minutes, but he's just not ready to play every single week.
The issue is that, like I told you, the Liverpool team we've always known, they always operate from the flanks. That has always been one of their greatest strengths. Most of their creativity normally comes from the flanks. Now you don't see that anymore. And today, Salah didn't play because he was also injured. Alisson Alisson was not also in goal today because he's also injured. So, but the reality is, Liverpool doesn't have those kind of wingers that are very threatening when it comes to going forward. Mohamed Salah, when he was in good form last season, we saw the kind of stuff he was doing from the flanks. Or let me say, previous season where we see Salah doing a lot is from the flanks. But this season, he has been awful. He hasn't been that level we've all known him for. And from the other flanks also, from the left side, there is nothing much happening there. So that is really affecting the creativity of Liverpool. That's why they've been very poor this season. Because I can tell you, if we have a Luis Diaz in this team, we see a huge difference in that team.
Trent is also one of the most creative players you'll ever see.
Exactly.
Like, Trent is so good at creating from right back that Jurgen Klopp literally told his midfielder on that side, which was mostly Henderson, like, just cover for Trent. That's your job. You don't have to be creative. Just be a workhorse. And he made that's right side with Henderson. Was typically on Liverpool's strongest. This isn't every week, but Henderson, Trent, Salah was one of the strongest right flanks I've seen. And the left flank also was typically like Gini, Wijnaldum, Robertson, Mane, very different strengths. But Jurgen Klopp had those guys in sync, knowing exactly what reads to make. If Trent's going up, Henderson would cover. It was just brilliant. And Frimpong is not a bad player, but he's very different. Trent has a very unique skill set where he can make 50, 60, 70-yard passes. It's incredible.
When it comes to creativity, Frimpong is not at the level of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Arnold, the only challenge, or we'll say the weakness Arnold has, is when it comes to defending. But when it comes to moving forward, being creative, giving nice pullouts, the guy is in a different level. And that's why you see there's always that conversation between talking about Chris James and Trent. These guys, when it comes to moving forward, they are very, very good. So Jeremy Frimpong is not at that level. So I won't say he was an upgrade to Trent Alexander-Arnold. Maybe with time, maybe when he settles down very well, he's a very good player. They stood that, but he's not playing at that level of Trent at the moment.
Trent is one of the very rare players in the game where he's good enough at creative that you can center an entire team around him and structure an entire team around him, and it works. And Liverpool won a lot with him. I'll leave it at that. We can move on. There's a lot of discussion here. There'll be a lot of opportunity to talk about Liverpool. But George, let's talk briefly before we go on to Everton-Chelsea about Fulham-Burnley and Leeds-Brentford. Fulham-Burnley, I think the big talking point, we can just talk about one thing here, is Raul Jiminez's walk up to the penalty. It's just another ref thing that the refs should need to be consistent on. I think he very clearly stepped back at least once in this run-up, possibly twice, and that he was not called. I was very disappointed. First off, it was a stonewall penalty in red, in my opinion. Just frustration at the end of the game from Burnley. Ultimately, it didn't impact the game. But did you see the run-up, George? Do you know what I'm talking about with that? Like, Raul Jiminez stepping back. Like, how absurd is that?
See, that's why in the Premier League, a lot of things are allowed to be done and nothing is being done about it. And that's why you see players will keep doing that kind of stuff, because nobody calls this into question. Officials don't do anything about it. They allow it to just go. So at the end of the day, we just accept what comes out of it. So for me, that's not supposed to be. That's not supposed to be. That's not supposed to be. It's unfortunate it happened, but well, the goal was counted, and that's the outcome of what we saw today, which is not supposed to be.
Luckily, it didn't impact the result. George, I watched Leeds Brentford. I actually left early from my house because the Richmond Kickers had a game at 6 and Brentford kicked off at 4. So I only saw the first 65 minutes or so. This game was very exciting the first like 5 or 10 minutes and then was really boring. From what I hear, I didn't miss much the last 30 minutes. I don't know if you watched it, but I'm happy my team got an away point. Is there anything else there's to discuss in this match? Nothing controversial happened from what I saw.
There is nothing. There's nothing much. A game that couldn't produce a goal. Definitely, people will tell you it's a very boring game. So
Okay.
both teams were expected goals in this game, but unfortunately, nothing came out of it. So I
Okay.
think it was a fair result that both teams went. At least they both shared points. So I don't think it's a bad result for Brentford, but for Leeds United, they might not be happy with a draw because they are in the relegation battle. So that's the only team I feel might not be happy with the draw today. But for Brentford,
Brentford, we are going for Europe, so obviously, like in a vacuum, I think that I mean, I think we're fine with a away point. But and obviously, much more disappointed with 2 drop points on Monday against Wolves. But to say that we want to get to Europe as much as they want to, get
but,
out
but,
of
but,
relegation. But they're
but,
also
but,
much more comfortable than some of the other relegation teams and have much more of a cushion than Tottenham, West Ham, or Nottingham.
but Joe, if I will ask you which of the teams will be much happier with a point today, if you are be honest.
I mean, based on the run of play, it was from what I saw the first 65 minutes, it was an even game. So on the run of play, neither team is like disappointed that they missed out on the win. I mean, I think that in the vacuum, the home team, and the better Brentford's a better team. Leeds was at home. I think Brentford is sufficiently better that being at home is an equalizer for Leeds, and that a draw is a fair result. And that again, neither team is happy, but like I hate the phrase "happy" with a draw
No,
because
but which team will be more happy if you ask which of them will be much happier today going at least getting a draw today or a point in this game?
Brentford with a draw away is important for them for Europe. I think that Brentford really see themselves as want this year to achieve Europe. They have something they've never done as a club and are very happy with that. And a point, especially in a weekend where Chelsea and Liverpool lost, is really important for them. I think they really want that 7th spot, and yeah, we'll be happy with 8. George, let's move on to Chelsea versus Everton today. George, this game I thought highlighted every single structural problem with Chelsea's squad. Pretty good midfield, pretty good fullbacks, pretty bad goalie, center backs. Forward play has been very inconsistent this year. Yao Pedro hit a patch of form, but it's not great today. Liam Delap was not either. Everton, taking nothing. Everton played some awesome goals too. I thought they did very well. They have some very quality players. Kieran Dewsbury Hall would be a great signing for Chelsea. But George, in your opinion, what do you think? Was it the same mistakes Chelsea has made the last couple of weeks that they lost, or was this something different that you saw of this Chelsea team?
The truth is that this current Chelsea team is a demotivated team as we speak. This is a demotivated team. The team has lost confidence in the manager. So far as I'm concerned, Liam Rezini has lost the dressing room, if I want to be honest with you. Because if you look at even one of the interviews, Enzo Fernandez granted, he made it clear that when Enzo Maresca left the club, that the team has lost shape, the team has lost stability, the team has lost the identity they were known for. So the team spirit is already down. If you look at the attitude of the players, even when the game started, you won't see any sense of urgency. You won't see any kind of people who were ready to fight for the badge. They were not ready to fight for the manager. They are not playing. I think they've lost trust in the way the manager handles the team. Maybe it's a tactical approach, playing style. I feel the players are not satisfied. And let me tell you, when a player is not satisfied or is not happy with a coach, there is no way he's going to give 100% to the game. It was too obvious today. Imagine Chelsea had almost close to about 64% possession, but they never made anything reasonable out of it. They only had 4 shots on target. Everton had about 36% possession, but they had 9 shots on target. So it shows you that the way they play When you play too much sideways, you try to retain the ball, but you are not making any useful thing out of what you are doing. There is so low creativity in the team. Even Kopama look lost. He's not in his good form again. In fact, a lot of players have dropped in their performance. Even Robert Sanchez is not as poor as he is currently. He has become worse under Liam Rosenior.
I'll say I watched half of Sanchez games, and I felt that he made several mistakes under Maresca. I mean, maybe it's more consistent under but he's never been a keeper that inspires confidence, even under peak Maresca. He always gives the ball away once a game. I thought Fofana today made a clear mistake on the first Beto goal. I think he gave him way too much space. Beto had a great finish on that. It was wonderful, but that's still way too much space. I agree with everything you're saying about the body language of the Chelsea players. You can almost see which Chelsea players are fit. Like, this player's lost or this player has given up. Like Enzo, you can tell he has lost his ability to care. And George, when I was talking earlier this week, I've told you this is the difference between a young team and a more experienced team. I feel like a more experienced team, its identity doesn't need to change that much with a manager. Like a manager change. If a new inexperienced manager comes in, your experienced players can be can provide enough of that identity that it's less of an issue in a transition with a weaker manager. Lavia today, also, this is his second time playing. He'd have looked a little bit lost as well. Caicedo did not close down like I've seen him before. He's had fantastic games. He's had very poor games. Today was very poor from him, and it's a shame because when I watch him at his peak, he's phenomenal to watch. He's very he's very good. So, but I agree everything you're saying about body language and psychology. This team does not look like a team that is going to qualify for Champions League.
Imagine a team that has played their last 6 Premier League games. They've only just won one, and that was against Aston Villa. And then imagine a team in their last 4 games, they lost all the 4 games in all competition. And in their last 3 games, Chelsea has failed to score a goal. They conceded 3 goals today without scoring one against PSG on last Tuesday. They lost 3-0 without scoring a goal. Then last weekend, they lost to Newcastle at Stamford Bridge 1-0. So that means in their last 3 games, they've not been able to score. And this is the first time Everton will be having a big win. It's their biggest win against Chelsea since 1987. That's a very big disgrace. This is a sackable offense, if you ask me. That's the reality. I told you that this guy...
George, nobody who is going to come to Chelsea and turn this team around. Nobody's going to come to Chelsea and make them qualify for the Champions League. Because Pep Guardiola, peak Pep, could not come to this team and turn this team around, nor would he. I think any manager that's good enough would say no, because he's not an idiot.
Joe, we are not telling you that any manager will come to Chelsea and perform wonders. There are results that you shouldn't have as a big team like Chelsea. It's a disgrace that Chelsea will be losing 3-0 to Everton. That is unacceptable.
Chelsea is not a big team in this. You can't just say we spent $1.5 billion, so we deserve to beat Everton. If you spend $1.5 billion stupidly, which Chelsea did, you're going to lose to Everton, and it's going to take years of good management to get to a point where you can expect to beat Everton again. And it's not going to come if you fire the manager every 3 months or every year.
I want to ask you a question. Do you think if Enzo Maresca is the one in charge of this team is going to lose 3-0? That's not going to happen.
No,
that's not going to happen.
They would have weeks where they would lose 3-0 because it's a manager who's before Chelsea. His biggest experience was a championship club. They've lost to smaller teams in the past before.
Lost to smaller team, not 3-0. I can't remember when last Enzo Maresca was the manager of Chelsea and Chelsea lose and was so shambolic like this. I can't remember last. This team is not that bad. The manager just talks too much. That's one of the things I noticed. He talks too much. He's highly inexperienced. He's a guy who his first managerial job was in 2022. So it means he has only been a manager for 4 years.
When was Enzo Maresca's first managerial position? And what was his highest managerial position before Chelsea?
Okay, let me now tell you, Enzo Maresca started his managerial position in Leicester, qualified them from the Championship to the Premier League. That is something.
One season of experience before Chelsea? He took one of the biggest budget teams in the Championship, and including one of the all-time great Premier League players, and promoted them, and that's his experience?
So what? No, I'm not telling you that. If the Chelsea we know will never hire a Maresca, that's the truth. It just tells you how the standard has fallen. But Enzo Maresca
This is
came
not
in.
the Chelsea of 5 years ago, George, and it will never be back again. They have permanently changed Chelsea, and will take years of good management, like 3 or 4 years, to bring them back to what Chelsea was, and I don't think they're capable of doing it.
This Chelsea, like I keep telling you, this guy, tell me the rationale behind bringing Leon Rezunion to be the coach of Chelsea.
Because, George, the owners have massive egos, and they not only want Chelsea to be good, they want them to be the reason Chelsea is good, and they want the success to be independent of the manager. And it takes years of good management to get to a point where your team is good, regardless of who the manager is. And it's very rare that happens at a big club. And Chelsea owners are, in my opinion, a little out of depth. And they're not. And Liverpool and Man City are much better run. And so are like Brentford and Brighton on much smaller budgets, and a number of other teams in the Premier League. If you spend $1.5 billion, you're going to make some progress, but they're very poorly run. It's the same.
I've never seen where that kind of project, because they keep telling you, no, we have a project. What project do you have that you keep hiring and sacking managers every time? Because you want a yes man as a manager. I'm sure if they had called Luis Enrique to come and be the coach of Chelsea, he would not accept it, because they will never come and be answering yes to you for everything you want to do. They won't do that.
You know who would, George? You know who's still employed because he's a yes man? I mean, Arne Slot has done a great job basically taking responsibility this year for owners that made bad decisions last summer. Again, Liverpool spent $500 million last summer, still don't have a winger that can beat a guy. And it's a fundamental squad issue that I can sit here on my couch and see this every single week. They lost Diaz and didn't replace him. It doesn't matter if you bought Wirtz and Isaac and Frimpong and Kirkesh. If you don't have a winger that can beat a guy, defenses can collapse in. They can leave your wingers one-on-one, and Liverpool struggle every single week. And Slot goes out there every week and says, it's my responsibility to make this team play right. And they're probably going to end up getting fifth. And he's protecting the ownership. And if he goes out there and gets second place and says, it's ownership's fault I got second because I don't have a winger, he get fired like that, just like Maresca. That's the world we live in, and that's how the soccer world works. And that's why Slot is employed and Maresca is not because of results on the pitch. That is my thought.
Honestly, it's very, very frustrating when you see people run a club this way. Chelsea, yes. Because the question I ask myself, if the person who was the former owner of Chelsea was running Chelsea this way, they wouldn't have come and buy the club. Chelsea became a big club, had a big fan base because of what the previous owner was able to achieve with the club. So if they come in and you can't improve on what the former owner has been able to achieve with the club, then it's very, very embarrassing and a very big disgrace to them. They should be ashamed of themselves, to be honest with you. And one of the things I've noticed with these new owners, most times when they bring players, the players are never an upgrade. They're always a downgrade. And that's what Liverpool is suffering from currently, because you allow the likes of David Luiz to leave, you allow the likes of Trent to leave, and then what did you bring? You brought a downgrade, because those guys that came to replace these guys are not an upgrade. So don't expect too much from those players, because those players will need time for them to get to the level you want them to get to. That's the way it works.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of the Liverpool signings in a vacuum are bad players. I mean, maybe Wirtz isn't worth 130 million, but none of them are bad players. It's just that they weren't what Liverpool needed. Like, George, if I spend $100,000 on a car and replace my $10,000 car, doesn't mean in that car, it's probably not wise. If the car works. So there's a lot there. Maybe that's a bad analogy, but Liverpool, I think, just signed the wrong types of players. When you look at other players who might have been available, I think it was for and Mbeumo would have been great on Liverpool this year. Kind of exactly what they needed. All right, George, let me close out with our standard questions. I mean, George and I kind of got in this passionate debate about what is wrong with Chelsea. Do you feel like the current ownership can turn things around? Do you agree with George that this could be done in 6 months or a year? Do you think that it's going to take longer? Number two, what was your favorite goal or performance of the day? I think that Everton probably had the best performance. I think Beto, two double goals were very impressive. And number three, what can the Premier League do about run-ups like Raul Jiminez? How can they enforce that better? Just a part of a larger question about consistency and refereeing in this league. Let us know your thoughts. Thank you for listening.